you are, we welcome you. Wherever you are, we welcome you. Well, welcome to First Unitarian Church of Toledo on this August 18, 2024. I'm Joe Moran, today's service associate, and Keith Racy behind me will be leading the service today with a look at what he learned coaching Little League Baseball. The music is provided by music director Jeffrey Maxey. Jenny Gottman will present the blessing of the backpacks in preparation for the upcoming school year. Back in the media booth is our media team. Walter McGee is our producer director. Krista Schneider is switching cameras, and Jeff Slauson is on the soundboard. We are a church with no official doctrine or creed. Instead, we covenant to support each other in our individual search for truth and meaning. We welcome everyone as we sang in our song. If you are a visitor, you may notice in the pew rack in front of you a bookmark with information on Unitarian Universalism. Please feel free to take one with you. There's also a yellow card in the pew rack that you may introduce yourself to us. And if you include your email address, we will send you our weekly email with news of various activities. As you meet people today, feel free to introduce yourself, ask questions you may have. And we also want to welcome those who are joining us virtually on YouTube, our YouTube channel. Later this morning, or later during the service, this morning, I'll encourage all of you to attend our potluck coffee conversation fellowship, social hour in Fellowship Hall. It's one of the perks of making Sunday service a regular time to be here in your schedule. Thank you.
In many Unitarian Universalist churches, in our services, we light a chalice, a flame in a bowl that originated with the Unitarian service community using a lit chalice to indicate safe spaces in Europe during World War II. Shall we say the words for lighting our chalice together? The words will be on the screen, I hope. All right, well, I guess I'm not going anywhere for the next hour, so I'm here. There we are. We are Unitarian Universalists with minds that think, hearts that love, and hands that are ready to serve. Together we care for our earth and work for fellowship and peace in our world.
Now please, if you will join me in the reciting of our covenant. Love is the doctrine of this church, the quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
In our minds and in our hearts, with our spirits today, how do we be good and effective communicators in this time of changing congregational leadership, with members and staff helping to make the process go well? We're all here because we believe in the message and the ways of Unitarian Universalism and liberal religion. Following our covenant, the congregation recites every Sunday, and the behavioral covenant that has been in place for several years help us to work together. Yesterday, Saturday the 17th, our congregation took part in city activities encouraging education and condemning violence, part of our work to achieve social and racial justice. This coming Saturday, we will celebrate Pride in the LGBTQIA community and in all of Toledo, part of our being a welcoming congregation. These Saturday activities are points for why we have the Pan-African and Pride flags on our building, showing our public support and indicating that this is a safe space for people who might be different than the mainstream. Let's try to work together here to keep First Unitarian Church of Toledo a safe place, a safe space, a safe place, and not separating. In a moment, we're going to enter with our minds into the sanctuary of our hearts for a time of meditation and centering. So I'd like to say just a few moments about the theme of this service, a few things about the theme of this service. And I hope the camera can follow me over here. This bouquet sort of symbolizes what we're talking about today. There's three principles. Is your mic on? There we go. Now it's on. Thank you. There's three principles of Unitarian Universalism that we're highlighting today. And we're trying to make a bouquet in which they all interact with each other. In the short time that I have to speak with you, no matter what it is, even if we're talking about the concept of zero, in 10 or 15 minutes, I really can't cover it. So rather than trying to cover something intensively for that period of time, rather than using analytical intelligence, we're going to use a synthetical intelligence, okay? We're going to synthesize these three principles. And this bouquet helps to visualize it. You could think of this as a roller coaster. We're going to start out in the fifth principle. We're going to touch on the other principles on our way to the end of the ride. So just as a renewal and a refreshing, the fifth principle is the sunflower, the commitment to open and democratic process in our relationships and in our organizations. The second principle is our desire to have democratic process and humane policies and equity and justice in all of our human relationships. And the other one's the baby's breath and whatever this is. It's the right of conscience, use of democratic process. It's the sixth principle, the sixth goal: peace, liberty, justice for all. I don't have them memorized. Forgive me. So I hope that that is helpful to us. So let's enter a centering time now. Let's enter with our minds into the sanctuary of our hearts. Oh, I thought we did that already.
No.
Oh, thank you. We're going to sing then. Thank you for prompting me, because my script, I don't think that was in there. Hymn 298, is that right? Thank you. Lean out my senses and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of being in awe. Wake now my reason, reach out to the new, join with each pilgrim who fasts for the true. Honor the beauty and wisdom of time, suffer thy river and praise the sublime. All right. To conscience. Voices thy guide. Join with all people whose rights are denied. Take not for granted a privileged place. God's love embraces a whole human race. Wake now my vision of ministry clear. Brighten my pathway with radiance here. My calling with all who will share. Work toward a planet transformed by our care. My apologies, Jenny. I wasn't trying to step on this part, so I just sort of lost my place here. So thank you for waking my conscience, and so with that apology.
Good morning. Can you hear me? This is a day when everything has gone perfectly. How's that?
Here, Jenny.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Let's sign up there.
All right, how's that? Good. Thank you for your patience. We are doing great today. All right, I would like to ask all of our little children to come forward and join me up here, please. If you would like to. If you would rather hang out and sit where you're sitting right now, that's fine. But if you would like to come up here where you can more easily access what's going on today, you come up and join me. Hi, Amaya. You want to pile up right here with me? Awesome. All right. So today we are going to do our blessing of the backpacks. And I told the kids they didn't have to actually bring their backpacks. We can just bless them in our imaginations. But whether you brought your backpack or not, we're all going to get a little charm that contains our blessing. So I know some of you have started school already, and I know some of you have not. I think for a lot of people, school starts tomorrow. And in anticipation of that, I thought that we could talk a little bit about new situations, like the start of a new school year. It can be fun and exciting and really interesting and all that good stuff. And it can sometimes, at least for me, it sometimes could make me feel a little anxious because I had a new teacher and new friends and new subjects and maybe even a whole new school building. And so I thought, since the start of the new school year can be kind of an anxious time too, that today we would bless ourselves and our spirits as well as our backpacks. So, hello, awesome friend. So for one thing, when I started a new school year, I was always concerned that I would not be able to do all the new things that I was supposed to be able to do. And particularly, I was afraid that I would be the only one who didn't know how to do all the new things that I was expected to do. And I don't know if that's just me, but I suspect it's not. And so when I started to worry like that about not being able to do stuff, I have learned now that it's good to stop and remind yourself, that's okay. I am capable. So how about you children and grown-ups repeat that after me. I am capable. I am capable. Excellent. That is a very nice thing for us to say to ourselves. What kinds of other things would be nice for us to say to ourselves? Well, I know for me, at the start of the new school year, I would get anxious, and when I get anxious, sometimes that makes me feel really short-tempered and maybe kind of grumpy and like I want to be left alone. And then that makes me feel like I'm not being a good friend or maybe not even being a kind person. So it helps to stop and remind ourselves, no, it's fine, I am kind. So how about you repeat that after me? I am kind.
I am kind.
Excellent. What else? The start of the new school year made me feel like I was just not good enough, or not smart enough, or not strong enough. And now sometimes when I'm a grown-up, I worry that I am not pretty enough, or not rich enough, or not fast enough, or not funny enough, or not healthy enough. So it helps to stop and remind ourselves, no, that's fine. I am enough. So how about you repeat that after me? I am enough. Or say it with me too, that works. You say, I am enough.
I am enough.
Excellent. Then sometimes, like in our very hardest times, we can feel like nobody really understands how we're feeling, nobody cares how we're feeling, maybe we feel like nobody loves us. And that is a terrible thing for us to think about ourselves. And so it helps to stop and remind ourselves, no, that's fine, I am loved. So how about repeat that after me? I am loved.
I am loved.
Excellent, good job. So it's good that we can stop and remind ourselves of all these nice things that we are. And sometimes it feels even better to hear the people around us say those things to us. And so that is one of the reasons we go to church. We have this nice community of people who care about us and will help us with our problems. So when we say those kinds of things to ourselves and to each other, those are called affirmations. So we're going to each take one of these keychains. Children, pick a keychain. And if you are back there and you want to grab a keychain right now, that's great. I'm talking to the kids. And if you want to hold off and wait until we get to class, that's fine too. Would you like to pick one for Amani or Asani? Excellent. All right. And so now we are going to send our blessings right into these keychains. So I would like for everyone to think of a person. Oh, hold on, Sweet Pea, you've already got yours. I would like everybody to think of a person or a group of people who we want to send some nice thoughts to. It can be somebody you know, it's somebody here in this room, somebody at home, somebody you've never met. It can even be, if you feel like you really need it, it can be yourself. So we're going to send all of those affirmations right into these keychains. So if you would, kids and grown-ups, repeat after me. I am capable.
I am capable.
I am kind.
I am kind.
I am enough.
I am enough.
I am loved.
I am loved.
I am blessed.
I am blessed.
Excellent. So these keychains are super extra blessed now. The kids and I are going to go do our thing. These keychains will remain available for the grown-ups at coffee hour. If you are watching at home and you feel like you need a blessing, or if you are here in the congregation with us today, but you don't actually get the specific blessing that you would like to get, that's fine. Email me at dll@uutoledo.org. Tell me where you would like to send it, or tell me where you would like me to send it, and we will get one to you. I'm going to take this quick opportunity. Amaya, will you help me out? I'm going to send this basket over to Jeffrey. Because Jeffrey was absolutely crucial in creating these keychains. You're welcome. Could everybody please say thank you to Jeffrey for helping us make these blessings?
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Yay, Jeffrey! All right, kids, are you ready to go to class? Yeah. All right, thank you.
Oh, let me have that back.
And as soon as I get
We're going to sing the children
Yes.
class, I believe.
As you go on your way, may you be filled with gladness, joy. As you bless your day with peace and loving kindness.
Now this is our time for centering ourselves, so we'll take just a few seconds of silence. So the way that I like to envision this is to help to create an integrated sort of psyche for us in our own internal dynamics and our own interiority, to use that word. So let's enter with our minds now into the sanctuary of our hearts. And let's bring all of our energies focused on those things that are of ultimate concern for us in this time. And later, there'll be a community prayer that I will share with you. We call out to all the energies of comity and community and connection that have roused us and brought us safely to this place of abiding, lasting, nurturing meanings full of light and hopeful love. May these powers become more and more manifest in this beautiful sheltering place. May they help us examine our inertia and our many resistances to cooperating with them, to reify more healthy and adaptive interior and exterior realities within us, between us, and among us. May all those in the liminal spaces of their journeys find comfort in that which we're able to share with them in their times of transition and transformation. May all smugly comfortable in their solipsistic individualism have their consciences quickened until their focus becomes wider, their hearts grow greater, and their love extends beyond what is conventional, traditional, familiar. In the name of all that is pure energy, process, becoming, we fervently hope our time together shall become a vicarious exercise, benefiting not merely us and those we know, but all who are eager to fashion a better world, a more harmonious universe, and a greater future. So be it. Amen. And now we're going to have a reflection hymn.
Spirit of love, come unto me. Sing in my heart of the stones of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Move in the
I have this reading to share from Carl Jung, but before I do, hopefully you can see on the screen, for some of you that may not know of Carl Jung, I'll give you a second or two to read a brief bio about him. The title is From an Answer to Job. The greatest and most important problems of life are all, in a certain sense, insoluble. They can never be solved, but only outgrown. And this outgrowing, as I formerly called it, further experience was seen to consist in a new level of consciousness. Some higher or wider interest arose on the person's horizon, and through this widening of a view, the insoluble problem lost its urgency. It was not solved logically in its own terms, but faded out when confronted with a newer and stronger life tendency. Now I have the pleasure of welcoming to the pulpit, or to the front, Keith Racy, who I believe, Keith, you're the newest member of our church.
I am.
Welcome, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe, and Walt, and Ginny, and Jeff, and everyone who's involved in the technical aspects of this production. This is a big production. I've been presenting in the Christian church, they call it preaching, since 1973. But this is the first time I've been to a place with so many cameras. I can't even pick my nose up here and feel comfortable. So, I'm the Reverend Dr. Keith A. Racy. I'm a graduate of Eastern Michigan, Yale, and Kent State Universities. I have postgraduate work in organizational leadership and behavior. And some of this is going to be important as we go through this, and some of it is not. So just call me Keith. Today, we're talking about what I learned teaching Little League Baseball in Owasso, Michigan in 1982. Baseball, like fine art, has a plasticity that allows us to hang many meanings upon it. Those of us who are indoctrinated, propagandized, call it what you will, into the elegiac fields imbued with deep mythopedic meaning, understand it as a stand-in for what it means to live a full life. So what did I learn? Our fetish for hierarchical control, that's hard to say, is creating dysfunctional human beings and social organizations and structures that don't nurture fully human beings. There's a difference between human beings and fully human beings. So, upon reflection, what does that mean? Well, think about it for just a moment, about all the things of control in baseball. Bat control, ball control, glove control. Even the baseball field has weed control. A manager who has control of his team is thought to be a good thing. A pitcher who has command of his pitches has good control. Those people in the past who were control freaks, like Judge Kennesaw Mountain Landis, or, forgive me, Joe, because he's a Yankees fan, George Steinbrenner, helped keep the workers on the plantation happy until Kurt Flood managed to enact free agency. Owasso, Michigan, in the Little League, one of the coaches who was an official in the league had been coaching for 35 years. He thought he was the George Steinbrenner of Owasso, Michigan. So I was just a new member of the community. You know, I'm in the Methodist Church where I itinerant minister. So we at that point, we were moved every 3.8 years. So I didn't know anybody in that town. They had their draft in the back room of a bar. Not the sort of place you want to be caught if you're a Methodist minister. So, all right. So they had it in the back room of a bar. I didn't even attend. And those who had 10, 15, 25, 35 years of experience, they knew which families had bloodlines that would produce players and which ones would produce posers. And since I knew nothing, and since I wasn't there, they gave me, or the team I coached, all of the people they knew nothing about, or they knew for sure they did not want. We were a motley crew before the name was even thought of. We're told that there's no crying in baseball in that famous movie. Not quite true here. First time we have practice. It's a mixed gender team, cisgender team, as far as I know. So I underhand threw to this one young lady who was a right-hand batter. I threw it underhand to her, and she actually hit the ball. She hit the ball. I said, "Run towards first base!" She takes off that way. So I knew that in private there would be crying in baseball, at least for me. I had one player, and we're going to call him Ronnie, whose mother had died and whose father was drowning his sorrows. I knew he was doing the best he could. Ronnie would come with food dried on his clothes, his face was all messy, and his hair was all akimbo. But he tried. He really tried. My patience, that is. He couldn't bat, he couldn't throw, he couldn't hit. So where do you put players who have the least capability on your team to give it a chance to at least experience a little bit of victory? In right field. In right field, Ronnie could do no harm. He could spend all of his time picking the clover flowers and throwing up in the air, taking his hat, and he was really good at this. He would take his hat, and he knew how to throw it up in the air, turn around, and catch it. And later on in the season, he got good enough to catch it on his head. So he did that. He was chasing the butterflies. He was in his own little world. No need to pay attention to the game. The last game of the year came upon us. And we had a perfect season. You know what's coming, right? We were 0-10. And the team we were playing was coached by Owasso's rendition of George Steinbrenner. They won every game. They were undefeated. Miraculously, the bottom of the last inning, we were ahead. There were 2 outs. They had a runner in scoring position on second base. Our pitcher threw the ball, their batter hit it, and he hit it to right field. We all began to say, "Look up, Ronnie! Look up, Ronnie! Look up, Ronnie!" He was out there in his own little world. That day, I can't really say this too boldly. He had a personal itch, somewhere between his waist and his knee. Use your imagination. So his left hand had a glove, and his right hand was busy. The ball came his way. We couldn't get his attention. He was out there doing his own thing until, this is where we need that music, until his dad, who always sat along the right field side, refreshing himself with a beverage, honked his horn. So right field Ronnie, at that moment, he goes, as if to say what? The ball miraculously came and landed in his mitt. He caught it. The runner on second base had no faith in right field Ronnie. He didn't wait for him to catch it and tag up. He left. So he said to Ronnie, "Throw it to second! Throw it to second!" Another minor miracle. The second baseman caught it, touched the bag. We won the game! We won! Well, the George Steinbrenner of Owasso was a league official, and they had an appeal of the decision in the back room of that bar. They didn't invite me to come. And because he was into hierarchical control, they didn't really want me there anyways. Then why should I be there to advocate for these kids that had won nothing? So we had to replay the game from that point, and we lost. So what did all this hierarchical control teach these nascent human beings? Most of us learn in life, you win some, you lose some. When we think the only way we can succeed in life is to have control over everything, it creates dysfunction, not only between people, but within people. Our relationship with ourselves, our interiority. If you're like me, you were taught in school that the only successful way to organize anything, organization, a social organization, a business, a culture, a civilization, was hierarchy. I remember all those slides showing me of ziggurats and pyramids and royal thrones from Mesopotamia and the Indus Valley and Latin America. We were told there's no other way except top-down hierarchy. This whole reflection time is a midrash, to use a good Jewish word, a midrash upon that experience over the last 40 years. I thought about it through the courses I've taken on organizational leadership and behavior. I thought about it with my experience with the United Methodist Church bishops. In their hierarchy, they have as much power as a Roman Catholic bishop. If they tell a member of the clergy, you will go there, and you say, I don't want to go, my kid's in the 11th grade and starting high school, you will go there. I don't want to go there, my wife has a job 2 hours away that makes 3 times what I'm making, you will go there. And if you wanted to stay connected to the Methodist Church, you would have to go there. I had the good fortune, or maybe bad fortune, it depends on what you think about intellectuals, to have a scholar at Yale named Dr. Letty Russell, who was a liberation theologian. Please don't be put off of that word theologian. Those of us scarred by the Christian traditions have trouble with that word, I know that. Think of it this way, a way of looking at liberating modalities of cognition which help us imagine a better future. That's what it's all about. And she introduced me to a book by a scholar named George Floyd. Is that his name? Floyd Hunter. Floyd Hunter. His book, Community Power Structure, is still in print. He studied Atlanta in 1953. He mapped out its community power structure, the hierarchies that were led to control by the ruling elite. He came back in '67. Nothing had changed, sadly. Nothing had changed. Sadly, I hope that the son or the grandson of George Steinbrenner of Owasso isn't using that kind of dysfunctional hierarchical control to affect the same damage on other people in Owasso, Michigan. But I sort of doubt it. My work in organizational systems taught me that systems, all human organizations, have abiding patterns of interaction that continue from generation to generation. Most of us have the most experience with family systems. That's the system we know the best. So one of the kind of ways you look at that is through Murray Bowen's family systems theory. Intergenerational patterns of behavior are passed down from generation to generation. Trauma, abuse, not just maladaptive things, but also adaptive things. Doctors tend to produce doctors, right? Lawyers tend to sire lawyers. Ministers sire lawyers. Ministers. Look at Dr. Barger's dad. He's a Methodist minister, poor guy. And Dr. Barger is our minister now. From generation to generation to 7 generations. It abides, it abides, it abides. What I learned from looking at this is that hierarchical control creates those patterns of behavior that don't liberate us, but oppress us. We interiorize them. We put them on our hearts. We say to ourselves, this is the way it has to be. Somebody has to be in charge, right? Really? Really? Let me come out of the closet here, the metaphorical closet, and say this to you. If you haven't figured this out by now, let me confess, I'm not a fan of hierarchy. How many of you have ever heard of the word heterarchy? How many? Raise your hand if you ever heard of it. one person. In this hierarchical culture, in this hierarchical economy, in this hierarchical country, even the word is suppressed. Heterarchy, and hopefully it's on the screen somewhere, heterarchy is defined as a way of organizing things where there's not a social stratification, or it's as flat as we can get it. Not all the archaeological ruins that were shown when we were kids are really true. There are some archaeological ruins in which the structures are still flat, or relatively flat. It's not because they didn't know how to make them higher, but they realized that they wanted to have equality and mutuality so they could all be at peace and safe in their own homes. That's why they did that. There's an article in the Cambridge University bulletin that I've attached to this in case you want to see more evidence of where this is. Or you can find other evidence of this in the Archaeological Review. I'm not making this stuff up. Heterarchy is more liberating than hierarchy. In the hospice world, one of the things that make it work from the beginning, and I've been part of it since the beginning, is the medical hierarchy was flattened. The distance between the doctor and the aides was narrowed. The aides are taking care of the biggest system in the human being, the integumentary system. That's the largest, the skin. That's the largest system. How they take care of that skin has to do with the well-being of the patient, so they can live until they say goodbye. Let me give you another example of hierarchy that is oppressive. And here I need to get a quote. This is the story from the WBUR about the Stewart healthcare system in Massachusetts. 31 hospitals bought by a hedge fund. Hedge funds are all about hierarchy, control. Get as much profit out of it as you can. It's antithetical to hospitals. Hospitals need to be nurturing, healing, caregiving communities. And at the end of the piece on WBUR, it quotes this professor at the Chan School of Public Health at Harvard, a guy named McDonough. Quote, "The purpose of a health system is to serve the needs of patients and the public. And the purpose of private equity is to return massive profits to the small group of owners as rapidly as possible, and then get out of town. The goals of private equity versus the goals of what is important in our health system are absolutely at odds with each other." Unquote. This gives us an opportunity to reflect upon what kind of quality of organization and relationships do we want to have in a church. We're not a for-profit thing. Most of us come from a world in which we have hierarchies, whether government or business, and that sort of pollutes our understanding of what is the ideal way to relate to each other in church. And so we think that, you know, the paid staff, they work for us. They don't work with us. That's antithetical to what it means to create a nurturing community that creates fully human beings and creates loving organizations that abide from generation to generation. It's antithetical to that. We are calling ourselves a church, right? We call ourselves a church. We probably don't have the right word for you, church, but that's what we call ourselves, right? And like it or not, we're heirs to the Judeo-Christian community, particularly the Christian community, and they're following of that radical, rebellious rabble-rouser, Jesus, who was not hierarchical. In Acts 2, it said the early Christian community, I think it's the second or third generation of Christians, they held all things in common. Can you imagine what that would be like if we left here today? And we just left all the car keys in the back and you just got to choose your own car and drive it home? Do you think what an uproar that would be? Just think that I went to talk to the United Methodist bishop and I said, well, you know, Bishop, I really like your house here, and me and my 25 friends, closest friends, of course, are going to have a shindig at your house here this weekend. And, ma'am, I'll need the keys. How would that go over? Probably not too well, do you think? Probably not too well. So here we are proclaiming a different way of being in the world. This kind of organization is supposed to be the leaven for the lump. We're supposed to offer an alternative way of being in the world. We're not supposed to join the lumpen proletariat. We're not supposed to say, well, we're just going to do the same things here that we did when I worked in business, when I worked in government, when I owned my own place. We have hierarchy here. And if we don't, we will not succeed as a human organization that is nurturing and encourages fully human beings. So, today, I am proclaiming, borrowing from the Christian tradition, the year of Jubilee has come. We are free. We are free from all of the hierarchies that have oppressed us. We can live in a different way. We can relate to each other in a different way, with mutuality, with respect, with love. You are not beholden to me, and I am not beholden to you. Today, I'm not the Reverend Dr. Keith Racy anymore. I'm just Keith. I'm just a member of the crowd enjoying the game. A member of the crowd who knows that there is a different way of being in relationship. A way in which no one is in charge, like a pickup game in baseball. Joe, can I have your help here? We'd have those pickup games. Any of you play pickup games in baseball? All right. So there's no rules, there's no parents, there's no organizations, there's no George Steinbrenners. In my neighborhood, there's like maybe 8 to 10 kids. And how do we determine who got to pick first? The teams. You know, we would all decide mutually on who was the captain. We'd take turns of being a captain. We figured it out ourselves. We solved our own problems. We would throw the bat. How many of you have ever thrown the bat for a baseball game? Not too many. All right, well, nobody's going to get hurt here. All right? It isn't that kind of event. It's not a violent event. So Joe and I, he's a Yankees fan. Maybe I'm gonna do this different now. So this is a demonstration. Don't try this at home. All right, here we go. You ready? Yep. Here we go. Oh, good catch.
Do it again. Go. For you.
He gets to pick first. And he's going to pick somebody besides the right field Ronnie, I'm sure. So the year of Jubilee has come. We don't have to solve our problems with hierarchy. We can live in a different way, in a more loving, equitable, flat hierarchy way. We have a hierarchy here. Sure we do. But the flatter we can make it, the healthier we're going to be. So today, we're just watching the game. We're here on this imaginary savanna, which reminds us of where we were when we first were on 2 legs as a species and just walking out of the jungle, out of the forest. We're just enjoying the green grass, and we're just enjoying the game. And we're going to sing now as our closing time of dedication, and I'm going to pass something out while Jeffrey sings and plays for us to sing, Take Me Out to the Ball Game. You ready? Here we go. Jeffrey, here it comes. Pay attention. Pay attention. Pay attention. Pay attention. Pay attention. Pay attention. Cracker Jacks. Twice in every package. No beer here. No beer here. Cracker Jacks. Get your Cracker Jacks. Get your Cracker Jacks. Enjoy your freedom. The year of Jubilee has come. There's a different way of being in the world. May we experience it, enjoy it, and live it. So be it. Amen.
George Steinbrenner several times, and what can I say? He hired Derek Jeter, I think, so that was one of my favorite movies. All right, so every week at this service, we take up an offering. And it reminds us that the offering is a symbol of our dedication to this church, as well as the practical aspect of keeping the church running and the doors open. Through our pledges, we attain our budget, and we fund our yearly programs and ministries of worship and religious education, pay our staff, our professional religious leader, finance the comfort and beauty of our building, listen to this wonderful music. And so this is a convenient time to support our church. We have a basket that will be passed around, and if it misses you, we also have one in the lobby as you exit. You can leave it on your way to coffee hour. If you have cash and want it credited, I want that credited to your contribution, you might put it in an envelope that can be found in the pew racks, put your name on it. If you give a check, just note in the memo line how you want the funds directed. There are other ways to give as well. You can either QR the code, you can see that on their screen, shown on the screen, one for Venmo, and the other to our website, uutoledo.org, and then click on Give, then click on Online Giving. You can also mail to our church address here, 3205 Glendale. Our church is a self-supporting congregation, and we are extremely grateful for all contributions. We now come to the some announcements here. Keith, I think you have the spiritual forum, or you're announcing that,
Well, I think,
or maybe I am.
well, I'm not quite sure what's happening. No, there we are. All right. Join us for spiritual formation, or spiritual forum, rather, at 9:45 a.m. on Sunday, when we'll continue with our Coffee House of Cards discussion series. I think that's supposed to say week 39. We'll use a special deck of cards to pose some hypothetical ethical quagmires and discuss how we might handle them using our Unitarian Universalist values as our guide. Join us for this fun community-building conversation.
Then for Sunday service, next Sunday service, 11 a.m. in the sanctuary, and on our YouTube channel, Susan Spiegel will talk on choosing a simple life. Is it possible? Also of note for our city is that August is Pride Month here, and the 3-day Pride Festival will take place downtown this Friday, August 23rd, through Sunday, August 25th, and Toledo Unitarians will march in the Pride Parade from noon to 1 on Saturday as part of Better Together, a way for many congregations to show solidarity and support in the community. And we'll also have a table for the afternoon at the Pride Festival, which will take place from 1 to 10, I'm assuming 1 to 10 p.m. at Promenade Park. If you want to see the parade but not march, join Better Together at Trinity Episcopal. And you can please see David Strickler in Fellowship Hall after the service if you have any questions or you would like to participate. You may have noticed also Love Your Neighbor yard signs in our lobby. They're for you to take home if you wish to spread the love. Neighbor to Neighbor is a 2024 election year peace initiative originating from St. Michael's in the Hills Episcopal Church and their new rector, Reverend Gail Catanella. First Unitarian is a community partner of Neighbor to Neighbor, and thanks to our Teal group, which is helping to bring New York Times columnist David Brooks to the Lourdes University Franciscan Center on October 8th for a lecture, question and answer session, reception, and book sightings, and tickets will be on sale in September for the election season. For the election season, you can spread some good intention with these yard signs. And finally, it's for me to invite you all to join us in Fellowship Hall after the service for coffee, conversation, and social time. And today we have a potluck. Carla Logan Mercer and her crew have prepared more than enough food for everyone. So don't worry if you didn't bring a dish, there's plenty for all.
As Joe extinguishes our chalice, please join me in reciting the words for us figuratively, to send some Unitarian Universalist fire into the community. Now our chalice words. Are we waiting for them to appear on the screen? We extinguish the flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Thank you.